It is currently March 16th, 2024. I've been working on other stuff this entire month, so I've been busy with a different project, which went well. I finished it a lot earlier than I thought I would, and I'm actually really excited about that. I'm dreading doing a bunch of quilting, but I think I want to get a bunch of it out of the way. Usually once I get started and my machine feels like it's tension and everything is set up, I tend to want to get a couple of these done. So what's going to happen is I'm going to try to finish up this Love Is Here, I think. I really don't remember what the name of this quilt is. I want to try to finish this up today, or at least get it quilted. The binding is a different matter. I will work on a different day. And then I want to work on one of my other 12 projects that's just sitting there basted. I think I want to get that one done as well. Because it's just going to be a very similar style of quilting. I'm just going to make some wavy lines and call it a day. I am using a variegated thread. It's like pastels with pink, blue, yellow. It's very cute. And then on the back I have like a bright teal color. The back is a couple mixed matched fabrics that I think I showed last time. Yep, I know it's a blown out image. I need light though while I sew and stuff. So it's going to be blown out this entire time lapse. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm done. I'm just going to quilt and hopefully make a cute little time lapse and we're going to move on. I'm going to listen to Retro Claude. She's been putting up some big 6 hours of her working on knitting her stash and stuff, which has been very motivational for stuff like this. Yeah, alright. I will see you, I don't know, probably when I'm flipping this to work on the other half of it. So here we go!
Hello everybody, it's Sam, voiceover Sam. I'm very excited. It's March 25th when I am recording this. Yeah, this project I'm working on, I have kind of worked on a little bit all month, or all year I should say. In January I started working on the top, in February I got the top done, and then this month I am quilting it, which is awesome. I am actually at the point of recording this voiceover. I have made a label, but I have not bound or put the label onto the quilt. Quilt is trimmed, so we're good for that. But I haven't finished everything quite yet. The quilt looks fine. I had a little snafu on the double side. You might see that in the time lapse later on. But otherwise, this quilt kind of went pretty smooth. I don't love the pieced backing, but at least it's done, and my stash was used a bit, so which is really nice. Speaking of stash, I wanted to throw out there that I will mention this Retro Claude video a couple times that I am watching. The title of it is 6 hours of me busting my yarn stash, parentheses, compilation, closed parentheses. I love this video. I might try to watch it again, to be perfectly honest, because it was really, really motivating. There is something about watching somebody else doing something you want to do that's very nice and be like, oh, I can do it, they can do it, I can do it. And watching somebody be like, I'm gonna go through my stash of stuff and try to use it up as much as I can, and here are the projects I'm gonna use, is really very motivating and inspiring. Like, it's like, oh yes. And I was very excited to watch this because I'm like, yeah, I'm working through my stash right now. I'm getting projects done that have been sitting around for a while. This particular quilt that I'm working on was from 2022, and you know, I've had the kit floating around for a little bit, and so I'm happy to have it done, which is really nice. Which I'm just very excited about. This is also the person though who inspired me to do my measuring my stash last year. So if you've been watching for a little while, I measured my fabric stash last year, and I think I ended up with like 88 yards or something like that. We're going to go into more detail later about that in a different time-lapse clip. But I just wanted to mention at this point that this person, Retro Claude, is the reason I even measured my stash. So if you want to go and see the person who inspired that, I would go recommend checking out her channel, because she's got a bunch of really fun compilations going up right now of her knitting and various projects. She's got like a timepiece that she's working on and everything too. So, all right, I have a sewing question coming up here, guys, and I'll catch you in the next voiceover.
I can never remember, and maybe if you're more experienced than I, which is very likely, if you can tell me, I have this fairly large gap, which you're probably not going to be able to see on camera. Of course, my camera is like blocking my monitor, so I can't fully see everything that's on there. Yeah, you can't see it. The end of my fingernail here to the end of my other finger here is where this big gap is. And now, I know different batting has different measurements. I am using I believe the Warm and Natural 100% cotton. And I usually try to use a guide of like 4 to 6 inches. Pretty sure we're past that. And I'm debating adding another swoopy swoop in. Another curvy line. Has anybody had issues with their batting pilling and like falling apart on the inside due to lack of stitching? I know most people are very like extensive stitching where like the quilting part is so heavily done that they're not even concerned about that, but I am. So I would love to know, is this something that you know how to do? If I care enough, I can always come back and do like a little heart or something, I think, in the big gaps. That I would be fine free motioning. Doing like a little heart or something in there. But for now, I plan on leaving it because I can't be bothered. I'm going to try to make them smaller from here on out, but yep. All right, I'm going to go back at it.
So one thing I didn't mention, it actually got cut out, was that I have chosen to walking foot this because I originally tried to free motion and it didn't go well. I wanted to free motion quilt this. This is also why I said I was willing to do like free motion hearts and spots. It's because I tried to free motion a couple of loops, which if you know and you free motion on your machine, you will understand this. My tension when I free motion is still in progress. It's just a constant work in progress. And I realized after doing about 3 or 4 loops, I didn't want to rip out this entire quilt. I have a whole nother quilt that I can rip out that I'm still working on. So I don't need another seam ripping project. I just don't. So this quilt is for me to just finish, and so I walking foot and some curvy lines. Sounded excellent, sounded exactly what I would do, and I do hopefully plan on going back to like free motioning on maybe a couple table runners, potentially oh, I have a baby quilt that was meant to be my merch project. At the time of recording this though, let's be real, I don't think I'm going to get to that since I still have to bind a couple projects and finish those up. But the baby quilt that I was supposed to work on this month does have free motioning, but because it's on such a smaller scale, I'm okay with trial and error on that a little bit more. It's going to be some fairly large loops, so I'm not quite as concerned. But for this project, I really didn't want to make a bunch of loops, rip it all out, and then find out I hated it or something. The point of this particular project was to get it done. And I am getting it done. That's all I wished with this project. So that's what we're doing. If a couple side things, just so you guys are aware, I tried to drink plenty of water, so you're going to see me drinking water a lot through this. And there's going to be probably a couple of little weird clips of me stretching, because I tried to stretch around every 15 to 20 minutes, just because my back would hurt. I have a tendency to throw my quilt on my shoulders, which is not great. I did figure out a different way to free motion the second quilt in this video. But this first one, it started to hurt my back pretty bad. And so I tried to take frequent breaks and allow myself time to stretch and everything. So that was important to me. I will probably be giving you guys, well, not me, but past me will be giving a couple of updates, and then you guys can keep on watching me progress through this quilt and probably meet you on the second half of this quilt.
I'm gonna do one more row right along the edge, and then half of this quilt I think is about done. So progress, yay! Okay, so far, with filming intro and everything, this has taken me 40 minutes, which I always think quilting is going to take longer than it does, so I'm happy that it's taken this long. One half is done. I've rolled up the other half, and I'm going to get started on it. Onwards to the second half of this, and then we'll, I guess, reveal or whatever when we get there.
Alright, so while I am quilting the second half of this quilt, let's start getting into the stash of it all. Let's start getting into what am I doing about my stash this year? Am I counting it? Am I not counting it? What's happening? All of that jazz. First and foremost, I wasn't going to count it because I got so disappointed last year. Last year, I counted it once in February and then another time in July, I believe. And I had used like 8 yards of fabric. And I was like really disappointed by this. Yeah, it was frustrating because I felt like I was doing more. I think what the correct decision to do, though, if I do measure it again, is do it like Just Get It Done Quilts did it in her video. I counted my fabric stash. How much is too much? Too much. I really appreciated that she went and counted all of the fabric in her kits, counted all of the backing, counted everything, like fully counted, I think, just about everything but her scraps, and her scraps are fairly small. So her end total number was like, felt very honest, which I really appreciated. When I counted my fabric last year, I did not do that. I excluded, let's see, I excluded a lot. I excluded like all of my kits, all of the backing fabric, all of the, like, these things that I felt like had designated tasks I didn't include, and so it felt like I didn't work on anything, whereas I think if I did it, like Just Get It Done Quilts has, I would feel like I'm making progress because then kit fabric is also being used along with fabric that, you know, doesn't necessarily have a decision being made. I think the other half of this is also taking a weight measurement of my scrap bucket. I can probably X out quite a bit of, you know, extra, because there's a lot of bags and stuff organized in there. I don't think it would weigh too much more, but I can definitely take that weight off if I care enough. But I think weighing that bin would also be a really good tell of where do I sit with how much yardage and also how much weight of scraps, and then I can kind of go off of that. Is it a perfect science? No, but I think that would really help with progress for me to feel like I'm doing something. So it's definitely something I would like to revisit and potentially look at what numbers I have and what can I do to get rid of stuff and everything. That's the nice thing with the back of this particular quilt, is that I did use two yards of scrap plus some from some extra from a different quilt backing, and I got rid of quite a bit on this quilt, which I'm really excited about, that the backing has a bunch of scrap. The unfortunate is that it's not like matching in any way, so the back of it looks very scrappy. I guess for me, I like the backs to look very nice and clean. I know for some people it's kind of whatever if the back is all one or not, but for me, I really do like having a solid back so that you kind of clearly know that the front is the front. There's something very nice about that to me. That being said, this quilt is going to have to find a new home because I don't need more space, but I have a couple interested parties in this quilt, so I don't think anybody's going to be particularly mad at a free quilt that's got a scrappy back. That's what I've determined, is that no one can complain about a scrappy backed free quilt, so I think that's what we're going to go with. And the fact that it's Minnesota themed also helps because I know a lot of people in my life that are Minnesotans since I live in Minnesota, so it's very nice. I'm very excited, and I think it's going to end up very well, but yeah, I'm unsure how I want to do measuring my fabric exactly. I think that's going to be most of it, and this year's 12 project is so much of finishing quilt sandwiches that I think counting my backing and everything would be really good because I'll be able to knock out, 3 yards or whatever pretty quickly with backings. I ended up making quite a lot of purchases after I kind of felt very defeated last year in June, so I probably brought in close to 20 yards because I just bought backing for a lot of projects towards the end of the year. So that's probably where I'm going to end up being a little disappointed and scared. I'm scared of that final total number, so we'll see. Last one. So that's done quilting. I am gonna hold it up, kind of inspect it. You may or may not get to see it. I don't know yet. This took hour and 10-ish. So, and that's with all me talking to you guys and everything. Yeah, so I'm gonna get up, stretch, probably hang this up, maybe take a picture of it. We'll see. Yeah. And then get the other project out and ready to go. It is not my March project. That is going to be after that one. I just want to get these two kind of out of the way and done. I'll see you guys in a bit. Okay.
I've pulled out project number 2. I have a label on this spool I will be using. I'm using the same bottom thread, so the same Aurifil thread. This is a Coates & Clark. Yeah, I'm not fully sure which one this is. This is a darker variegated. It's like the primary colors. So it's just like a red, blue, green. I am quilting my Gemini Woodlands quilt that I've had done, I think, over about a year now, I think. I think last March I did the top, and now I have it ready to go and get basted. I'm just going to do a bunch of wavy lines down it. I'm going to keep going on the retro Claude video that I've been watching. But yeah, I'm going to get my machine all set up to quilt and see ya on the flip side, I guess. I'm going to try to just do the whole thing and then chat with you afterwards, I guess. So, bye!
Alright, so the project I'm currently going to start out here, this is Gemini pattern by Rosa Designs, and I love this pattern a ton. It uses like a half jelly roll really nicely, so if you have one sitting in your stash, I still have one sitting in my stash that I want to get rid of, so it'll probably get used in this pattern at some point. I've done this pattern. This is the second quilt, the one you're seeing, that I've done with this particular pattern. I really love it. It's just a nice, quick, makes in a day kind of quilt top. So, as I said in the previous clip, yes, I was throwing stuff over my shoulder, so they were gonna hurt, and I'm eventually gonna figure out a different method throughout this clip, which is good. Part of, back to like my stash and trying to measure or not measure, or what am I gonna do with my stash, is one, after weighing and measuring everything, was also going through it and decluttering. I haven't done a declutter of my craft and fabric supplies in a very long time, like a very thorough job at this. I was hoping I would have time to do it these past couple of weeks, because our local library did a fabric and craft swap, which was very exciting, and it, I think, did very well. It was hosted by the local recycling, the county recycling, and so they were just trying to save poundage. They were trying to save stuff from going into the landfill, which I thought was great. Really cool. Basically, it was all free, so you just dropped off and you could grab whatever you wanted. All they wanted was to make sure that they could weigh how much you walked away with. So whatever if you grabbed a couple, pounds of stuff, they wanted to know. I went about 15 minutes before the end of it. I don't know if it actually ended when it was supposed to, but they had saved about 700 pounds from going into the landfill at that time, which was great. So I was hoping I was going to bring more to that. I'm kind of okay that I didn't, because it was so busy there that they almost got a little too much fabric there, that it was hard to go through anything that was still there. Because it was such piles of stuff that it was a little overwhelming to get anything. It was just a lot. I very much enjoyed the event, though. Overall, the problem, I have to say this because it was a little bit frustrating, was that because it was fabric and craft supplies, I don't think they fully were prepared for how much people would bring. And it was very clear towards the end that people had either gotten frustrated, or there was not enough space allotted or something for how much fabric came in, because people clearly brought their boxes of fabric in and dropped it instead of putting it on the tables. And so there was a lot of confusion among people of, is this your box, is this somebody's box of fabric that they want, or is this is this box somebody dropped it here and we can dig through it? So that was a really confusing point, just because the folding tables they had allotted were up against a wall, and by the time it was halfway through this event, they were heaping with so much fabric, it was so hard to see what was actually available. I really wish they had allowed people to shop both sides of the table, which I think would have done it so much better. All of the other tables that were in the middle of the room that were set up like that were shopped very thoroughly. And so I think it really would have benefited the event to not have the fabric leaning against the wall. I think it would have benefited them greatly to pull it away from the wall, let both sides get shopped, and to make a note, fabric below also up for grabs. I just think it was a bit of a mess in that sense, which was such a bummer. But it was really fun. I did walk away with some stuff. I brought 2 decently large bags of items. I have decided I don't really care for fashion fabric, or at least the fashion fabric I had bought. I don't like making clothing, even though I got a degree in it. It's not my favorite thing. I don't enjoy it. It's just, I don't really want to do it, and so I tend to avoid it for the most part. I did pick up a couple cuts of fashion fabric that I really loved, so there is potential for change. We'll see, though. Those might end up going to the next swap, who knows. But yeah, this event really had a great turnout, and at least in my opinion, I don't know how much they ended up with. I know somebody was counting, so I just don't know what that number was. It seemed like it went really good. So always check your local libraries, you guys. They might have craft and fabric swaps. It was great. I just really think they needed to, like 15 minutes in, they should have made a decision and gone, hey, we have so much fabric here, we need to figure out a different way of doing this. And I think that would have benefited them so much more, because you could tell people were getting very frustrated trying to shop through it. If you didn't have a buddy or didn't have a separate bag to put what you have already found into, it was 100% a two-handed project, if not more hands needed. Thankfully my friend came, and so we would have one hand taken up with what we had found, and then we would each try to, one person would hold stuff while the other person tried to flip through the next stack, and then you would put your hand under that stack and flip it up again and trying to get at all this fabric. It was great. So I had hoped that I would go through more of my craft supplies, all of my quilt fabrics and everything, and actually get stuff to go there and bring it to there. Part of the problem is, I know, unfortunately, that just, I don't know if it would have done any good, because I don't know how much ended up not making it out of that room. But I did overhear somebody saying they had found a couple quilt rulers that were just sitting there, and who knows how long they had been sitting there, because they were at the bottom of a pile. So I think there's some really great things that happened there, and I think some people walked away with awesome treasures, which I'm super pumped about. So highly recommend going to fabric and craft swaps. And that one was totally free. I wish if I was a business person, a small business, I think I would have had a ton of fun there. I picked up some purple corduroy that I'm thrilled about and hoping to make some shorts out of, because they were so stinking cute. But yeah, so my fabric stash right now, and even just my patterns and all of my, I have so much stuff that I need to go through and change and adjust and organize, and I think going to a swap is a great idea. I would love to see if there are more swaps in my area, so I would like to be able to do that and go through all of my notions, all of my supplies, everything basically, and be able to bring it to some sort of swap like this again, because I really did appreciate them putting this on. I would love to do something like that again. I just don't know if I'm gonna have any luck with my particular using up my stash at this point. I'm getting a bit frustrated, but also I think if I measure everything, I'll also be kind of scared of that number, and I know with the Minnesota Shop Hop coming this summer, I really need to slow my roll on how much fabric I buy, and also intentional shopping. Knowing that I have certain kits that need backing is always nice, and also having projects that need the backing is nice. So yeah, I'm hoping this will all work out, but we will see. I'm not fully sure. I think having that more accurate number would be very helpful of what do I have left. Also knowing a scrap weightage, because so much stuff ends up going into my scraps that's not necessarily yardage, so I can't be I can say I used 2/3 of a yard, but I still have a 2.5-inch strip that's now gone into my scrap bins. So it's does that really count? The other part of this would be that I think as I use it, I want to do what Retro Claude did and go, I used X amount, so I'm going to minus that off of my total, so I can kind of give a monthly total. at least a more accurate monthly total, I think, because I didn't do that last year because I didn't want to have to remeasure my entire stash over and over. And yeah, like, there's ways you can cheat it and be like, I haven't used anything off this shelf since XY date, and I could put that on there, but it's not quite the same to me. I wanted it to be able to know, but I think I like the idea of knowing if I put, this is how much fabric is on, like, you know, if I measure a kit, and I know there's 5 yards of fabric in that kit, and I finish the kit, and I measure the fabric at the end, and I go, awesome, I have this much fabric now. I think that would be particularly helpful to know that I used, you know, 4 3/4 yards. I have about a 1/4 yard left of one particular fabric or anything. I think that would be very helpful for me, keeping track. And I think still doing, like, every 6-ish months an actual full remeasurement of everything would still be very beneficial and good to do. I just don't think for a monthly basis that would work. And I think that would actually be very motivating and helpful for me to be like, ooh, I used X amount this month, and I think I would feel a lot better about that, and it would do a lot better for me, if that makes sense. But yeah, I'm really excited about getting a bunch of projects done. Both this Gemini quilt and the Love It Here quilt are just sitting, needing to get labels and binding on them. My Love It Here quilt, I have binding. It was part of the kit. I just have to sew it, cut it, trim it, all that jazz, put it on. The Gemini quilt here, I don't have binding picked out. Well, that's not fully true. I have some binding that I'm looking at debating of which I'm going to go with. I was originally going to take the strips of backing off of this quilt and just use that for binding. I don't love this fabric so much that I chose for the backing to put it as binding. So I think what I'm actually going to do is take some strips from a different backing and use that instead, because it's just a nicer, darker navy, and I think it'll be perfectly fine with this quilt. So I'm going to use some other scrap strips I have, and I'm going to do that for the binding on this quilt instead. I think that'll be fine. Yeah, I'm super excited though to have a couple projects done this year already, and I'm looking forward to trying to get my 12 items on the list done. For those who may be curious, this Gemini quilt was, I believe, number 9 on my list. It wasn't one of the big projects, but it was a project that because I don't like quilting very much, I tend to avoid doing it. So this was one of those projects that was just kind of in the way, that I just needed to get done, because I also needed the safety pins out of it, so I can quilt other projects, which is also why I'm quilting it this month. I needed both. I'm gonna publicly say this, number 9, if it comes up this year, it means I should get my machine serviced, because I've been avoiding doing that. And so when number 9 comes up, I think I have a place that I think I've picked out and everything, and I'm gonna ask them to take a look at my machine and have it serviced and all that jazz. And I am excited to get that done finally, because I have not done that with my machine. Oopsies. So yeah, but I'm excited that projects are getting done. I'm really trying to focus on getting these 12 projects of the year done as my priority. Obviously, there are other things that might come up since friends and stuff have babies and everything. I might make some baby quilts and whatnot, but yeah, I'm tired, and I'm also very excited for how this year will go, and so hopefully the rest of the year will be better. I'm looking forward to the summer and seeing the sun. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. You guys have been very nice and wonderful. So hopefully till the end of this video, I give you a little wave goodbye and everything, but this is my outro otherwise. So enjoy the rest of the time lapse, and thank you so much again for watching, and let me know what projects you're working on.
lost thread chicken. Just gonna throw that out there. I needed about a foot and a half. That's how much I lost by it. So I'm just gonna throw some other thread on here that's I've got on a bobbin already. So, but yeah, I've lost thread chicken.